Hey, what's poppin', everybody? Gut check time. I did not mean to not make a video yesterday. We just got up at like 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock to feed Miles, and then we passed back out to like 11, and then we did not get back up. So that was not on purpose to not make a video yesterday. Just we kind of passed out yesterday. The whole fam did. So did not mean to not make a video yesterday, but it is what it is. We'll be making one today, of course. Let's go ahead and recap because we're a little bit of a gut check time here. Not off to a great start to start the month right now. 2-6 record. We're always transparent here. We're always gonna, I'm gonna be honest when I'm losing and honest when I'm winning here. So been at it for a little bit of time this morning. We've got to really figure. I guess not we. I've got to figure something out because what I'm doing right now is not currently working, obviously, because we've not been able to find any success lately. So really got my nose into it. Was working on it even last night before I left work, and now I've been working on it this morning. Really got to get things figured out because this is not, it's not delivering right now. Not delivering, I am not delivering. So let's go ahead and take back to some recaps. So December 3rd was our last recap day, or the last day that we made a video because yesterday, December 4th, we did not make a video. So let's go ahead and recap. December 3rd, the lock of the day, we just ended up doing 2 picks that day because of some weird injury news that just didn't end up panning out. And then I was stuck at work, wasn't able to do a third pick. So we just did 2 picks that day. The lock of the day was Jordan Clarkson over 21.5 points. He ends up clutching up for us and gets 24. And then I don't even know where to start with Anthony Edwards. See, this is our, I don't think I made a bad pick here with Anthony Edwards. He just got a super bad break. Red hot to start the game. At the half, I think he had 21 or something like that at the half. And then heading into the fourth quarter, he had 29 points and rebounds. Okay, he finished for the last 8 minutes and 13 seconds. He played the rest of the game. Okay, with 29 points and rebounds. I didn't even check. I thought he was gonna hit. In the last 8 minutes and 13 seconds of a close game, he did not take a single shot until 11 seconds left in the game, and he took a 3 when they were already down like 8. He also didn't grab a single rebound in the entire second half. I don't know what I'm supposed to do about that. I mean, forget me. Put it aside that I bet on Anthony Edwards that game. As a Timberwolves staff, Jalen Noel took 7 shots in the fourth quarter. Anthony Edwards took 1. I don't understand, you got an all-star point guard, all-star shooting guard. He needs to be taking shots at the end of the game when it's a close game. That's what the Thunder were doing. The Thunder were letting Shea take over the offense late in the game. Guess what? The Thunder won the game because they let their all-star take over. Anthony Edwards taking 1 shot in the fourth quarter in a close game just doesn't make any sense. They should have easily crushed this line. Also didn't grab a single rebound in the second half. Are you kidding me? Come on now. So that's a tough break there with Anthony Edwards and Jordan Clarkson on that 2 slip we had from the other day. And then yesterday, we ended up throwing up a pick on Instagram, and I just said, get buckets, period. Just get buckets, and that's the exact opposite of what happened. None of them got buckets. Literally none of them got buckets yesterday. Just throw it up right there. DeRozan got off to a really bad start. The Cavs only scored 81 points, and then Tatum comes up bucket short. Jaylen Brown had 20 in the first quarter, and so he took that game over. Just look for but all those guys are in the top 10 in scoring, and they got no buckets yesterday, which is just insane. Outside of, I thought Tatum was going to have maybe the toughest night outside of those guys. Sacramento doesn't really have a guy to guard. DeRozan still got locked up. And then the Cavs only scored 81 points. Come on, how in the world did the Cavs only score 81 points? So, yeah, that one's just tough there. I mean, I was just looking for guys to get buckets, some of the best in the business get buckets, and they just didn't get buckets. So that's tough there. But we're going to go ahead and reevaluate some things and kind of just change things up because obviously what I'm doing right now is not working. So let's go ahead, and I also wanted to I'm going to start doing team picks at the end of every video. I'm going to give you guys the 3 player props like normal, and then I'm going to give you guys some team picks. I just want to talk about it right now. I'll talk about it at the end of the video. Let's go ahead and get into the picks first. All right, heading over to the lock of the day. We're going to be going to a little bit of a later game. Give me the Phoenix-Dallas game. We're going to go with Devin Booker today, over 30.5 points. I'm going to take the points. He has a points and assist line that sits at 37.5, if I'm not mistaken. Let me double check, make sure it's right. 37.5 points and assists. I think you can go both ways with the points and assists as well as the points. He's been passing the ball really well. Obviously, he's the main facilitator, kind of outside of Cameron Payne within the offense with no Chris Paul. Obviously, he's going to get his buckets. Now, this game sits at a 2.5 point spread as the Suns being the underdog. Now, that just tells us, right, that this game's obviously going to be close. Playoff rematch from a year ago. Booker got his in the playoffs. In big-time games, Booker gets his. So I'm really looking for Booker to have a good game tonight. Now, defensively, Dallas is the second best defense versus point guards in the NBA, allowing them to score. I do know that. They're one of the best defenses against shooting guards. Now, Devin Booker has played some other top-tier defenses that are shooting guards, allowing them to score. He took on the Clippers, who are third best at allowing Clippers to score the least, or allowing shooting guards to score the least amount of points. He did drop 35 on the Clippers. In his last 10 games, he is averaging 33. It is a little bit juiced because he had a 51-point game and 2 40-point games, so it is a little bit juiced. But even guys that the Dallas Mavericks have played that are main scorers within their offense at the shooting guard position, Jaylen Brown had 31. Jalen Green had 17, which, for Jalen Green, his line is around that 17, 18, 20 range anyways, so that's right around his range. Jordan Clarkson had 22 against the Dallas Mavericks. Jordan Clarkson's points per game, around that range, as well as like 20 to 21 range. And then Devin Booker in their last matchup, that was earlier, very first game of the season, he had 28 and 9. So he fell just a bucket short and an assist short on both his points line and his points and assist line. So I think without Chris Paul in that game, Chris Paul did play. Chris Paul had 9 assists in that game. I think it's valuable for us to probably play Booker in this one, and he can get that extra bucket and get that extra assist without Chris Paul on the floor. They're likely going to match him up with like Dorian Finney-Smith at times, kind of transition guys on him defensively to have a fresh body on him at all times. But Booker's been playing well. He's been putting up MVP numbers. I don't think you can go wrong either way. Points and assists or points. I'll kind of decide by the end of the day. Right now I'm leaning a little bit more towards points, but I think we can go points and assists. With how their first matchup played out, with Booker getting 9 assists in that game, falling an assist and a bucket short on both his points and assists and his points line, and Chris Paul getting 9 assists as well in that game, I think you could really lean towards points and assists. But I'm going with Devin Booker tonight over points and assists. Most likely, I'll let you guys know by the end of the day, but I think both lines are going to hit here. So give me Devin Booker over 30.5 points today. Okay, second play of the day. Stick with me on this one. It's going to be a lot. Okay, I'm going to go over a lot of this guy's numbers. Okay, so we're going to stay within that same game, within that Dallas Phoenix game, because I think it's going to be the best game of the night. We're going to go Tim Hardaway Jr. We're going to go under 16.5 points for Tim Hardaway. Now, hear me out on this one. Recently, okay, if you're just looking at his last 3 games, which is what Underdog shows, he's balling out of his mind. Okay, he's averaging 25 points per game on 33 minutes, on 6 made threes, 12 3 attempts, and 17 shots per game. There's a reason why he's balling out of his mind. It's not because he's getting a massive production increase. It's not because they're allowing him to take more shots, really. It's because of who he's played the last 3 games. He took on the New York Knicks, and in that game, he hit 8 threes. In that game, he took on the Knicks, who give up the most threes in the entire NBA to small forwards. So it would make sense that as the small forward position, that Tim Hardaway Jr. would make the most threes that night because the Knicks give up the most threes to small forwards in the NBA. Then he played the Detroit Pistons, where he played 40 minutes in that game. No reason for him to ever play 40 minutes in another game this season. I don't know why he played 40 minutes in that game. Obviously, I could probably, maybe an injury or something in that game, foul trouble. He played 40 minutes against Detroit. He won't play 40 minutes tonight versus Phoenix. That won't happen. And then against Golden State, he also had a big game. But Golden State allows the 10th most threes in the NBA. They actually allow a lot of threes on a really high percentage shooting. So last couple of games, he's just had a lot of things go right. Played some defenses that give up a lot of his strengths because his main strength is shooting threes, okay? I went this deep with it. I went ahead and looked at his last 10 games, okay? In his last 10 games, he scored 131 points, okay? 87 of his points are three-pointers, which means 66% of his offense is from the three-point line. Then you dig a little bit deeper, okay? You take out that 87 points out of that 131, okay? That sits at 42 points that he scores other ways, okay? Take away 12 more of those points because those are from free throws, okay? He's only scored 32 points outside of free throws and threes in his last 10 games. That means 3.2 of his points on average are not from threes and free throws. If he doesn't shoot, essentially what I'm saying is if he's not shooting threes and he doesn't get to the free throw line, he doesn't score any other way. He gets, maybe a layup or two through the course of the game. I just really don't think it's possible for him to get to the 16.5 line tonight. I don't think it's needed from him. On the year, he's actually come off the bench 21 times, and he's started only 4 games this season. Last time he played the Suns, he came off the bench in that game, played 25 minutes, and only had 9 points in that game, 2 free throw attempts, and a 3, which means only 4 points came from outside of three-pointers and free throw attempts. So he only had 4 points that weren't threes. And in that game, he only hit 1 3. He went 1 for 5 because he took on the defense that does not give up a lot of three-pointers. I looked at his matchup. I watched the film from that game. It looked like Tim Hardaway just sat in the corner offensively. He wasn't trying to do anything other than that. He just sat in the corner, shot threes, which is kind of what he does. But they kind of had a Cameron Payne on him at times, Devin Booker at times, just a guy that just sits in the corner, kind of like a PJ Tucker kind of thing, where he just kind of sits in the corner, just waits to shoot the three. So they don't give that up a lot. So I'm anticipating Tim Hardaway I know I gave you guys a lot of numbers there, and that probably doesn't make a lot of sense to give you that much, but I just don't think he can get to 16.5 points. He only averages 12 points per game on the year. In his last 10 games, he's only averaging 13.1. So it's not even like recently his production has massively increased. He's just had a good 3-game stretch against defenses that allow a lot at his position. So give me Tim Hardaway Jr. under 16.5 points today. I think this is going to be one of the better games today, so I'm going to stick with this game for these first 2 picks. And I don't think he'll be needed offensively. I think the offensive production will come from Christian Wood, will come from Luka Doncic, obviously, and Spencer Dinwiddie. I don't think he's going to get that many opportunities offensively. In the last 3 games, he's averaging 17 shot attempts a game. I don't think he'll get anywhere close to that. So go ahead and give me Tim Hardaway Jr. today under 16.5 points as our second play of the day. Okay, so now on to team picks. Now, before I left work yesterday, I went ahead and took out the lines for all the games for today, and I wanted to see how much line movement would be happening over the course of the day. So while I'm recording this video right now, like noon, here's how the lines have already moved since I printed out these lines yesterday. So the Clippers-Hornets lines have already went from 2.5 up to 3.5. Obviously, with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, status up in the air, that's a game I don't even want to mess with at all entirely. Thunder's-Hawks, interestingly enough, has gone from a 5.5 point spread up to a 6.5 point spread. So we've gone a little bit of movement in favor of the Hawks. Thunder have been getting a lot of love from the books lately. They've been getting some really close spreads. So it's I'm kind of finding that one a little bit interesting. Then you got Rockets and 76ers. Embiid and Harden are supposed to be back tonight. So that game went from a 6.5 point spread all the way up to an 8.5 point spread. Also went up on the total score from a 220 to 221.5. So a lot of early movement in favor of the 76ers in that one. Wouldn't be surprised if that one moved even more by the end of the day. And that 76ers Rockets one. Heat Grizzlies is an interesting one. This one went from a 2.5 point spread in favor of the Grizzlies at home to now a 1.5 point spread. So this one just literally sits at about a bucket spread. I think that one is a game that could easily go either way. Grizzlies kind of struggle a little bit to guard small forwards. Could expect a big Jimmy Butler night, which is kind of why I haven't made a third pick yet, because I kind of maybe want to lean a little bit towards Jimmy Butler tonight. Suns Mavs. This one's the crazy one I'm really liking a lot, okay? Game started out originally at a 3.5 point spread. Game has now dropped to a 2.5 point spread. And the Suns this season have been the underdog 3 total times, and they've covered the spread all 3 times. They won 2 games outright. They were underdogs to the Warriors and to the Timberwolves. Won both of those games outright easily. They won by double-digit margins, I think, in both those games. Then they lost only by 1 point to the Miami Heat in that game where they had a 2.5 point spread as the underdog. So they've covered the spread as dogs all 3 times this year. This time around, it is in Dallas, this game, which makes sense why they are favored by a bucket. And then last time these 2 teams played, it was in Phoenix, and the Suns won by 2 points. So Suns plus 2.5, or even just straight up on the money line, is a game I'm really liking that I think I'm going to pick tonight between the Suns and the Mavericks. I think that's going to be the game of the night. 221 total is a little bit interesting too. Probably could lean either way, honestly, on that one. Last time it was a low-scoring affair. I think it was 105 to 107, so they went under last game. Expecting, a very similar result this time around. Then we got Pacers-Warriors, which has got the biggest movement of the entire slate today so far to this point. Opened up at a 9.5 point spread and now sits at an 11.5 point spread. So with Halliburton, I think Halliburton was already ruled out from the get-go, but Jordan Poole is supposed to be out. I think he's questionable at this point. But this game has gone from a 9.5 point spread all the way up to an 11.5 point spread. Also, the total in this one dropped from 241 all the way down to 236. So a lot of movement on this Pacers-Warriors game. That one's one that they're expecting to really get out of hand, it looks like. Even taking some team points away from the Pacers there to drop the total all the way down to 236. So Suns plus 2.5, or even just straight up on the money line, as well as the Heat plus 2.5, or straight up on the money line versus the Grizzlies. 2 games I'm really liking tonight. The Raptors-Celtics one is a little bit interesting too. I think I might have just accidentally skipped over that one. Originally, this game opened up as the Raptors being a 1.5 point dog at home. The Raptors this season have been dogs 3 times. And in those games, they're 2-1 versus the spread. They lost pretty bad to Brooklyn in one game. Then they won outright versus Dallas and won outright versus the Sixers. In both those games, they were dogs to the Mavs and the Sixers. Now, they originally opened up as a 1.5 point underdog and just barely slightly favored, or slightly less favored on the money line at minus 105 to minus 115 for the Celtics. Now, Horford's out and Malcolm Brogdon's questionable. So now the Celtics, for the first time the entire season, are underdogs. They're plus 1.5 on the underdog for the Celtics on the road at the Raptors. Now, Raptors just got slapped by Brooklyn. Celtics have been playing out of their mind. Like I said, they have not been an underdog the entire season. They've had a couple of 1.5 point spread games, but they have not been in an underdog this entire season. Al Horford being out was enough to make the books go, okay, we're going to make the Celtics the dog, which I find a little bit interesting. Raptors have had a pretty good record at home this season. I don't know. I mean, they must know something that we don't know here, because they're giving the Raptors a lot of credit here. Even just the loss of Al Horford, who's not a guy that's going to give them a lot offensively, has got them thinking that the Raptors can straight up win this game. So that one I just thought was an interesting line movement in that Celtics-Raptors game, which is already one I kind of had circled because I thought it was an interesting spread in that one. But just wanted to kind of go over those. I think I'm going to do that every day, where I kind of just discuss some line movement that I see throughout the day between these games. But I'm really liking the Heat on the spread, and I'm really liking the Suns on the spread. Both those guys on pluses. So those are the team picks, I guess, for today. Okay, so for right now, today's perfect 2 picks are going to be the lock of the day, Devin Booker over 37.5. I'm going to do points and assists for Devin Booker tonight as today's lock of the day. Then I'm going to go Tim Hardaway Jr. in that same game under 16.5 points. I just think it's too high of a line for him. He's just not going to be needed offensively tonight for the Mavs. And I really want to play Jimmy Butler. I really want to see what that Jimmy Butler line kind of comes out at. Obviously, the Heat and the Clippers are 2 teams where you don't get lines so super last minute. So stay up to date with me on Instagram. Make sure you follow me on Instagram, because I'm going to post that by the end of the day. Just want to see. I really want that Jimmy Butler play. I really do. So I'm looking to make Jimmy Butler that last play. Just don't know what his lines are going to be at right now. Then I'm also going to lead towards the Suns plus 2.5 on the road in Dallas. And then I'm also leading towards the Heat plus 1.5 on the road in Memphis. Both two road dogs that I think can get it done on the road as 2 team picks that I'm really liking for today. Okay, like I said at the beginning of the video, been trash. I've been absolutely garbage the last couple of days. I'm trying to get it turned around, trying to fix it, trying to get things back on track. It's been really bad, honestly. I had starting the month 2 and 6 is not at all the way I wanted to start things. But I'm gonna get it right. I'm gonna get it fixed. There's gonna be bad days. There's gonna be good days, even though we're on a really bad stretch right now. I'm going to get turned around, trying new things, trying to get things figured out. I'm going to start the addition of some team plays here. Even going to do thinking about doing a little challenge thing, either Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, kind of around that range. I'll look at some games on Wednesday. If I don't like it on Wednesday, I kind of look around for Thursday and Friday. I'm thinking about doing a little challenge kind of deal with some team props, but we'll talk about that on Thursday or Friday. So with that being said, guys, let's get this thing turned around. I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Peace.